Now, you probably think what I'm going to say is the thing that narcissists fear the most is truth. And that, by the way, is part of what we're going to talk about. But yeah, truth is something that they fear. But there's something even deeper than that is a key component of truth. So let's talk about this. What is it that the narcissist absolutely, positively fears the most? Well, first thing you got to keep in mind about narcissists as these people are very insecure individuals. The older they get, the more insecure they become because they can't stop being narcissists. At least that's the way it appears from my life experience, is that narcissism seems to be congenital. And by that I mean they've had it since birth. I mean before birth. It's just hardwired into their brain. No, not little wires, you understand that, but yeah, it's hardwired into their brain. They can't not be narcissists. They can't not be bad people. They can't not screw people over constantly, over and over and over again. Now stop and think about this. Somebody who has spent their entire life scamming people and hurting people, do you think that some of those people are going to try to get this guy back? And the answer is yeah, they are. So the narcissist is sometimes literally, not just figuratively, but literally looking over his or her shoulder, fearful of these people that he has scammed in the past are coming after him. And I've actually seen this happen. There was a guy, I think he was a full-blown narcissist, but, how would you know? But he had trash-talked a young woman based upon information that she had given to him because she didn't know that he was a narcissist. And, he's blabbing it all over. And that really hurt her. So she told her husband, who's a big guy. And her husband told his buddies. And they came looking for this narcissist. And, I experienced watching him. He was fearful. I mean, he was literally looking over his shoulder, watching for somebody because he figured out who they were, what kind of car they drove, about what time they came looking for him, when they went to work and were busy, when they were off work. I mean, that is his life. Now, that's one incident, and this guy was at the time in his 50s, I think. I don't know how old he was. But, this compiles over a period of time, grows exponentially. So he's got this whole body of victims, and these people are coming after him. And isn't that a quandary, an enigma? How it is that so many people can think the narcissist is so wonderful, but yet so many people think he's a bad guy. As we said in other videos, that is the problem for the narcissist, is that balancing act. They got to screw people over because nature makes them do it. It's kind of like they're hardwired, as we said. But also, they've got to convince people that they're just perfect, or nearly so. People got to love them. So they are really very insecure people. And they bring that on themselves. That's number 2, by the way. Number 1 is they're insecure. Number 2, they actually work against themselves. So they have this entire body of people who are coming after them, and they have this other army of flying monkeys who they use in their defense. Odd situation. But they're working against themselves. Now, when I was a kid, my dad would occasionally volunteer at the rescue mission. Today they would call it a homeless shelter. And I'd go with him. And I'd see these guys. Back then we called them bums. Now we call them homeless people. We called it a rescue mission. Now they call it a homeless shelter. But I remember looking at these people, and interacting with them and seeing it. They were disheveled. Some of them, I don't think they had a bath or a shower in months, maybe longer. They just kind of smelled bad, and they didn't seem to notice. Their hair was messy. Their clothes were tattered and old, and they just kind of shuffled around. Some of them were barely cognitive. I mean, their minds were hardly there, and the reason is because of what they did to themselves. I mean, there was nobody that forced these people to take alcohol. Nobody forced them to take illegal drugs. Nobody forced them to do that. They did it to themselves. That's what a narcissist does. And I couldn't help but to think as a kid, all these guys, every single one of them without exception, there was a point in time in their life where they had not yet tasted alcohol. And if they hadn't taken that first drink, they wouldn't be in the situation they're in. So I purposed as a kid that I would never taste alcohol. Now here I am pushing 70 years old, approaching the end of my life, And so far, I've never tasted alcohol, and I plan to live my entire life without knowing what it tastes like, and I don't mind. But the point is, from that, is these people, they had a choice at the beginning. Now, given some people have a propensity, I suppose, to being addicted to substances. In my case, the substance is food. I eat too much, but I didn't make that commitment as a kid. I should have. Don't eat anything that glucose. Stay away from that. But the narcissist doesn't have a choice. He was born this way. Again, it was congenital. At least that's been my observation. So what are we going to do? Well, here's the thing is we need to understand that the narcissist problem is not your problem. Now, the narcissist himself is a problem, obviously, because he or she is abusive. But his problem, which is that addiction, is not your problem. And it is something that it is a hole that he has dug or she has dug himself. They put themselves in this position, and I guarantee you, I spent years trying to help some of these people. And the more you try to help them, the more gullible they think you are, the more vulnerable they see you as being. And they take advantage of that. They just rip you off all the more. So you can't help them. You've got to have this frame of mind that this person, his problem is not my problem. He or she is the problem. So I need to get away from that. All right, so all of this adds up to one thing, that the thing that the narcissist fears the most, and we're talking about, generally speaking, truth, but more specifically, the narcissist fears being irrelevant, just totally being irrelevant. Now, I was watching a YouTube video a while back, TED Talk video. It was really short. I mean, I'm guessing it was probably like 1 minute. And the speaker was going to explain what's going on inside a narcissist's head, why they do what they do. And what he did is he walked out on the stage and he asked the audience to applaud. And they started applauding. And then he had them stand up, and they all stood up. And then he motioned with his hands, louder applause. And they applauded louder. And then they started cheering. And then the narcissist, or the speaker rather, walked off the stage, being in the position of a narcissist, and the crowd got it. That's what narcissism is all about, is being relevant, having praise, people admiring him, boosting his or her ego. If we take that away from the narcissist and make them irrelevant, they're going to leave us alone. Because they need the applause. They need the praise. They need the cheering. They need people to stand up and just admire them. There's nothing about a narcissist that is truly admirable, but, narcissists are charismatic. They're affable. They know how to get inside people's heads and how to get that applause, how to get that praise, and they crave it. And just don't give it to them. Don't stand up. Don't applaud. Don't cheer. Don't do anything. Stay away from them. And as we said in another video, the objective is, at least in my opinion, the objective as a victim of narcissistic abuse is to go gray rock. But there's another objective, and that is to get the narcissist to see me as being so toxic that he or she goes gray rock, that he or she leaves me alone. It's not that I am shunning the narcissist alone, but it's also I want the narcissist to shun me. Just break that tie altogether. There are 2 rectangles on the screen, so if you want this conversation to continue, all you got to do is click on one of those 2 rectangles, and we'll keep on talking together. If not, thanks for stopping by, and we will see you all next time.